welcome to my channel. Today we will be learning how to use MERN stack to create a CRUD operation. In this video specifically, I will be only using MongoDB, Express and Node to create a backend API, and in my next video I'll be using React to consume the API data. So let's get started. I already have created a folder named MERN Node app. So we're going to start from scratch. Click on git bash here, code space dot on our VS Code terminal. Let's start by typing npm init -y for yarn. So package.json file has been created. We're going to make a few changes here, but before that I'll install some packages. npm I express. And I'd like to add node-mon dependency. So this is what do we use? I'll tell you why we use node-mon just in a bit. And the next thing I'd like to install is .env. Alright, so if you click on package.json, you can see these dependencies that I just installed and node-mon. So inside description you can add something like MERN node app for you to use. And I'd like to change the name index to server.js. You can leave it at index.js as well. Here I'd like to create a file and name it server.js. If you had left it index.js, you'd have to create index.js file itself over here. And inside scripts, I'd like to add start. Move this and node server. There. And let's save it. It's all in here. Now inside server.js, I'm going to import Express. So to do that, so this is how we import Express in our application. I'd like to add app and create an object. So I'm going to use this app to create middlewares or use the built-in middlewares like JSON. Now the next thing I'd like to do is listen to the port. So to do that, I'll type port and I'll give a name, port number random 6000, and it listens to the port and console log it's listening to the port or not. And let's save it. So to run this application, we type in our terminal npm run there, because we've added dev over here. So it's giving me the console log listening to the port number 6000. It's working, but I'd like to add a file here and name it .env. This is very important because we're going to store our password credentials and connection strings port number inside this .env just to make one central location. And here I'm going to add development. So I like to keep port number as 7000. And the last thing that I want to add here is Mongo URI. So inside Mongo URI, I'll be adding connection string later. Let's save it. And here, in order to access this .env, I have to import it. So and .config. That's how it works. And in port, we're going to use process.env.port. So process.env is how we invoke .env, this environment variable. Okay, let's save it. And it's running on port 7000, exactly what I mentioned here. So it's working. Now I'd like to work a little bit on our database, because I'd like to connect my application with MongoDB. Create a folder named config, and in here I'll add a file named db.js. Here I'll be adding some connection strings to connect with MongoDB. So we need to install Mongo's library. Let's import Mongo's library here in our db.js file. To do that, so connect db async request response, and in here we're going to use try catch block just in case if it's not connected to the database. Catch will handle the error. So try catch connection, mongos dot connect, and this is going to take Mongo URI that I wrote over here. So in order to call this environment variable, we need to type process.env dot name that we used there. Let's save it. And let's also console log. So if it's connected to the database, we'll say okay, let's copy this and enable to save it. And let's not forget to export this connectDB, because we're going to use this exported function in other files. Save it, and in our server.js, let's call it. That's it. And this is a function, so we're going to call it like a function, and let's save it. And let's run our application. So it's actually giving us the error message saying unable to connect to MongoDB, which is true because we don't have any connection string yet. And let's also change something over here. If you read this error message, it's asking that the thing that we are using is already almost deprecated. So let's just paste this here. So I forgot to talk about node.mon. So as you can see, when I saved my changes, it did restart the node server. So that was done by node.mon dependency. That's all. And since it's not able to connect to MongoDB, we need to pass connection string here. Okay, and let's open our browser and type MongoDB. I already have my account here in MongoDB, so I think I'll be signed in here. Okay, yes. So I think basically you need to create an organization first. I already have an organization, so I'm gonna add a new organization, and it should look something like this when you do it for the first time. So I'm going to use YouTube MERN notepad. So yeah, this is the email address that I used. I have few email addresses. So create organization. So in here, I'm gonna click on this new project, and Note app will be the name of my project. Let's do MERN, and let's create a project. And always click on this add current IP address. So it's going to use my current IP address, and let's build a database. I'm going to use this free shared, And since I live in Canada, it's going to give me the default location. So I'll stick with this AWS. The only thing I'd like to change would be cluster. I'll change it to cluster node app MERN node app. Okay. So username will be bibhu123 and password would be same as username. And so I need to click on this create user. Okay, so it says your cluster has finished provisioning. And now you can click on finish and close and go to database. So it's loading over here. It might take some time, so let's go on our application and build a model. If you have worked on .NET Core or Python's Django framework, you must be familiar with MVC framework or MVT framework in Django. So here we will be using the same concept. So let's create a folder named models. Let's create a controller folder, controllers, I'm sorry. And last folder that I want to create now is router. Let's check. Okay. All you need to click is this on browse collections and add my own data. So I'd like to give MongoDB as database name and for collection note. So yeah, I think it's created. And now let's click on this databases. Let's click on this connect. If you have this MongoDB Compass, the third option on your desktop, it would be easy for you, but I'm gonna stick with this second option on my application. Copy this and paste it here. Change your password. So my password was same as my username. Don't do that. Let's save it. And now let's see. Let's kill this terminal for a bit. Because we changed something on our environment variable, we need to kill the terminal and run again. So it says it's connected to MongoDB. Exactly what we wanted. Now let's test if the password is incorrect, what it does. Let's kill this terminal and run again. It shouldn't be connected to the database since the password is incorrect. So it's working, I guess. It's unable to connect. Now let's change our password, kill the terminal and run our application again. It should be now connected to the MongoDB. Okay, it's connected now. So we are connected to our database. Now let's work on our model.js. So inside models, let's create a file named node model.js. Okay, here we will be adding all the fields that we want on our node model or node table. So we need to import Mongoose because it's the library that we use to connect with our database. So const. Now let's build our schema, node schema. Mongoose.schema. I'm going to take an object and we're going to add just two fields. That's going to be title and description. And this is how we add it. We're going to add type, and the type of the title will be string, and require will be true. And we'll be adding another field that's going to be description. Type of description will be string again. And add boolean, integer, ours will be string. Require will be true. And the last thing that I'd like to add here is at this block, Mongoose allows us to use timestamp, like the time when this note was created, updated, that timestamp thing. So that's it. Now let's export mongoose.model. First parameter will be the name of model, which is node, and second will be the schema. Let's save it. And our model is created. Now we need controller for that node model. So inside controller, let's type node.js. Inside controller um, will be creating 4 different functions for our CRUD operation. So let's import our model because model is very important here. Const node model. And the other thing that I'd like to add in this node controller is async handler. It's very important because it helps to find errors. We don't need to use try catch block here if we use async handler. So let's quickly install that. npm I express. I believe this is the right, yes. Okay, let's import it. Now let's create one function to read the data inside our Node app. So const read note, that's the name I'd like to give. You can give anything that you like. And I'm going to use async handler. Okay. And I'm going to use async method for request response. And here, notes. Since we used async, here we can use await. We have to use await and note dot find, and that's it. It's going to give us everything that's inside note model. Okay, so let's try to catch errors here. There's no notes. So 400 and pass as JSON message. And if there is any notes, then it is 200 JSON notes. Let's save it. Alright, and now let's not forget to export this function. So module.export. We're going to export 4 functions here, so I'm going to destructure. Let's save it, and you know what, let's build a create node also, and we'll test two things together. Okay, keep these nodes because we're going to have multiple nodes here. Okay, async handler and async request response function. So when we are creating anything, we're going to get data from the body. So we're going to destructure const. We have two fields, that's title and description in our model, and we're going to get these from request.body. We're going to store this on node object. Copy this and paste it here. If, or let's check errors here, if any. If there is no title or if there is no description, then let's pass a message. I'm gonna scroll a little bit for some room. and if title and descriptions there, then do it, because we've used async here. And inside node we are going to create, and we'll pass this object. Copy this and paste it here and save it. Now response.status 200 JSON, and we're going to pass this node that we just created. Okay, we can use another error handling here by, there is no node, this could happen, so let's be very mindful. Copy this and paste it here. Message, and let's save it. Okay, so let's export this, create node, and now it's time to work a little bit on our router. So let's add a file named node.route.js. So all the routes like get, put, post, delete. So we have these routes get, post, patch, and delete. So all, so if I select post, it should be inside our router file. So let's start working on it, and you will know what I'm talking about gradually. So in order to call router function, we need to import express, this object. So router is a function, and now what we need to do is, let's export router forest. Sorry, not this way. And um, for the route, we use router.get, and we're going to use this slash. I'll explain you further details, but what if we get this slash after get? So this is the base URL, and ours is, so if you click here, ours is running on port 7000. So I want to change this to 7000, and what I want is, later in our application we want a file named, folder named API, and then nodes. So this is the route I want to create. Okay, so after this base route, we need to create this API slash nodes. We'll do that shortly, but this slash, this is exactly what we used here. Okay, so if we are using patch, and we are going to do slash and pass some ID, it's going to be something like ID for delete. So we'll do that shortly, but right now, in order to get multiple records, we select this get route and we are asking it to get multiple records, we just need this slash, okay? And that's exactly what I put in here. And if I get this slash, I want it to hit in this method of node controller. So I'd like it to go inside this read nodes, okay? So we need to import controller in order to access that function. So this function is already exported, but to get access, we need to import it over here. So and node controller dot read nodes. So now the last thing that I need to do is go inside server.js and uh, create a route. So to do that, we'll use app.use, and I'm gonna like I'll explain you this. Like, okay, until this 7,000, this is the base URL. So you just want to add this, not even this slash, only until this. Okay, let's copy this and let's paste it. So what happens is that if it finds the URL slash API slash nodes, and there will be the base URL of parse, it's going to send me to router. So router slash node router. There could be multiple routers, like we might be having a model named user or books or anything. So every specific model has its own router. Okay, and let's save it. Now let's try to see if this read nodes is working or not. So it's giving me this array, which means it's working. Now I'd like to add just one record for now. To do that, I'm going to create another route or post. I'm going to have that slash itself, controller dot create nodes, and save it. And we already have a controller here. Let's go to our postman, and so in headers, right, let's try to see if we can add this, we can post this route. Okay, so it says there was an error, and let's find out what's going on. Okay, so you can see cannot destructure property because it's undefined. This title in here here is undefined. It's because we need to add our JSON middleware inside server.js. So let's add that quickly. I don't think installing JSON is important, but still I did. Let's see if it works or not. Um, since I installed something, I need to kill all the terminals and restart again. Let's try adding it one more time. It says all fields required. So in headers, I need to do content type, and here it's going to be application JSON. Alright, so it seems like it's working. So title, and this is the timestamp that I was talking about. Okay, so let's add one more. Let's post it. Alright, now let's see if we have both the datas or not. Yes, we do. And let's remove this field and let's try to post to check if it's catching the errors or not. So yes, it's catching errors. Okay, it's working fine until now. Now let's work on our update and delete functionalities. Async handler, async request and response method. Now so let's get the data that needs to be updated first. Do that. Use await note dot find by ID, and the ID that we will be getting here is through the params. So request, just like request dot body, we can get ID by request dot params dot ID, and if the ID is correct, then it should be fine. But if not, there won't be any data inside nodes. So let's check. So if this has any data, then we're going to work on update functionality. So wait. So Mongo has this function that we can use, makes our coding process way easier. And here we have to pass three parameters. First one would be ID. So request.parents.id, and the next is the body, request.body, and the third one is going to be an object. It means that if there is no body, just create a new one. Now if there is no updated node, else let's response status on it, JSON, and let's pass the node that was just updated, and let's save it. And let's export this function, copy this, and now we need to use batch router. So here slash, and we're going to pass ID, and let's save it. Let's try to see if this is working. So I'll try to update our first data, first title. Let's copy this and pass it as our ID, and select this batch route, batch request, and let's do updated first title and updated second description. And let's send. Okay, so looks like it's working. Yeah, it's working. And the last function is deleting the node. So let's work on that as well. First, let's find out if that ID exists or not. Use await. We could use this instead of find by ID, find by ID and delete directly, but we want to check for the null exception. That's why we're going through this way. And if there is no note, I'll send this error message. Save it, and if there is that specific note, then let's check one more time. Copy this, and instead of note, we are going to use deleted notes. Let's pass a message. And let's save it. And last thing I like to do here is export it. And inside our route.js, let's create a router for delete. Save it. I think that's it. Let's go to our Postman to test. Uh, so inside our patch, let's copy this and let's test by providing, instead of E, I'm gonna type F and wrong ID, and let's see what happens. So no such ID was found. Okay, it's working. And so I'm gonna put this to E itself and click on delete. So we had 2 records, and I guess one is deleted. So let's check. Now we only have 1 record. Let's delete that as well. Okay, so now we don't have anything. Alright. Yep, it's working. So that's all for today. In my next video, I will be working on React Redux and using RTK query to fetch this API and build something on our browser. So thank you very much for watching this video today. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment. Thanks.